Finally, day 6 has arrived. Finally, some of you say, finally, we've been stuck on day 5 for so long. But here we are. Containment. Day 6, containment. How the system freezes you without saying no. Trust me, this is one to watch. So let's begin. Let's begin with the sentence no one in family court ever says out loud. But every parent, and I mean every parent, eventually feels it in their bones. You're not losing. You're just never allowed to win. Welcome to containment. Containment is the quiet, subtle, administrative killing of progress. It's not a decision. It's the absence of one. It's not a no. It's not a no. It's a not yet, repeated until not yet becomes the new permanent reality. And the genius or cruelty of containment is that it requires no findings. That's right. No evidence, no hearings, no judicial courage, just inertia. Containment is how the system buys time. People think the system punishes them by acting aggressively. It's wrong. The real damage, and I mean the real hardcore damage, happens through passive paralysis. You get delayed assessments, postponed hearings, interim arrangements that are endlessly extended. We'll review it in 12 weeks' time. You go back to court. Minutes. Let's wait for Kafka's input. Further information required, further information needed. And it's like, okay, you overcome some objections, and then they're like, no, we cannot progress until that's clarified. Whatever silly point it is, there's some silly, pathetic point that needs to be clarified. All while nothing changes except the child adapting to the status quo. And once the child adapts to the status quo, congratulations, the status quo becomes the justification for itself. Containment creates the illusion of fair process. Now, here's the genius of it. Containment feels procedural, reasonable, neutral, because on paper, nobody has refused anybody anything. Everything is in progress. Everything is under consideration. Everything is pending further inquiry. And you can't appeal a delay. You can't challenge a vacuum. You can't argue against an assessment that hasn't happened yet. Containment is cruel, but containment is the system's way of sidestepping, and literally a massive sidestep of accountability. We didn't block you. We just haven't finished gathering information. To block you, just haven't finished gathering information. And the clock keeps ticking, and the new normal for that child becomes normal. Why containment is the system's favorite tool? It's obvious, no? Because containment achieves 5 objectives simultaneously. It avoids responsibility. If the situation deteriorates, the system can say, well, we were waiting, weren't we? We were waiting for further information. That's what we're waiting on. That's why, you see, that's why. So it shifts the blame onto time. And time becomes the villain, not the system. It stabilizes risk by freezing movement. They freeze uncertainty. It creates a psychological fatigue. Parents stop fighting because not because they lose, but because they've got worn down atom by atom. It manufactures consent eventually. You give up and agree to whatever keeps the case moving. Containment is not a mistake. It's a mechanism. Containment, I'd say, is soft. It's a soft yes and a soft no. This is the part that breaks people. Containment gives you just enough hope, just enough to keep you compliant, but not enough, and I mean just inches away, not enough movement to change anything. It's the bureaucratic equivalent of maybe later, and anyone with a child knows that maybe later often means. So how people accidentally trap themselves into containment, and here's the painful truth. Most people help the system contain themselves. They think they're being helpful. They think they're being reasonable. They think they're cooperating. What they're actually doing is something very, very different. You're accepting delays, agreeing to wait, not challenging timetables, providing more and more documentation, over-explaining instead of escalating strategically, accepting interim arrangements as temporary, waiting for professionals who have no incentive, none at all, to be fast, not escalating when deadlines pass. By trying to be good, they become easy to freeze. And easy to freeze, well, means easy to forget. And so why do interim arrangements become permanent without anyone deciding they should? Which is a good question. But here's the killer insight. Interim arrangements become permanent by the simple passage of time. Because once a child has adapted, the system just says, well, it's not ideal, but it's stable. What else can we do? Stability beats fairness. Stability beats truth. And stability beats evidence. Stability beats everything. And the longer the interim drags on, the more the current arrangement becomes, predictable, familiar, low risk to maintain. And suddenly the burden shifts. Now you have to prove why things should change, even if the interim was unfair from the start. And this is the part that breaks people's minds, because containment doesn't feel like being pushed down. It feels like sinking quietly, gradually, almost politely, like being trapped in a wet cement while everyone around you says, oh, just wait a little bit longer. Just wait there and it'll set properly. The question that cuts through all the delays, ask yourself this privately, ask this brutally, ask this without emotion. Who benefits from nothing happening? As you answer that, the entire architecture becomes obvious. Now, hopefully today's practice task is the containment map. You need to choose your case, draw ideally your own case, draw 3 columns. Column 1, points of containment, list every moment where the case is stalled, delayed reports or postponed hearings, waiting for the police reports, waiting for social services reports, disclosures, repeated requests for more evidence. Anytime there's a stalling, a failure to action, previous directions, waiting for court orders to land, all that needs to go into column 1. Then column 2 needs to be system benefit. So for each stall, ask who is protected by that delay. Yeah. What liability is avoided by not moving, and who looks safer if nothing happens. And then column 3 is your unintentional cooperation. Write down how you've contributed. So did you wait instead of escalating, or did you without like a second thought, or did you comply without deadlines? Did you accept interim as temporary? Did you believe that patience was going to be respected? This is not self-blame. This is strategy. You cannot escape a trap that you cannot describe. And here's a knife twist. This is a proper one, yeah? So if today hit properly, you're feeling 2 things. Anger, because now you can see the architecture. And power, because once you see it, you can't be frozen the same way again. Within 24 hours tomorrow, we'll move into the strategic movement of how to unfreeze your case without triggering defensive pushback, and how to break containment without looking volatile. I think that's what we're going to be doing in the next one. But until then, buongiorno, and see you in day 7.